And pledge. Invocation will be by Commissioner Mary Brockman, and the pledge will be led by Commissioner Tommy Little. Please stand.
Dear Lord, as we gather here tonight, make us ever mindful of the many blessings that you bestow upon us. Help us to hear your words and feel your spirit in our hearts and in our minds. Please lead the way as we seek to do good work. And always remind us to be thoughtful, thankful, and humble in all that we do. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next is roll call. If you'll push your present button and confirm. Record the roll, Ms. Anderson.
We have 23 present, one absent, Commissioner Bethard.
Yeah, and Commissioner Bethard has called, and he's unable to attend tonight. If you'll allow me, I would like to move up, get where it is, under elections and appointments, under the county commission chairman and chairman pro tem. If we can move that up to this time. Any objections to that? So if that be the case, I'll turn it over to Jeff Wicke.
The floor is now open for nominations for a one-year term for chairperson of the Williamson County Commission.
I move Jack Walton.
Is there a second? All right. Is there a motion for nominations to cease? Second. All right. All those in favor of Commissioner Walton for chairperson of the county commission vote yes. Those opposed, no. Or say, I'm sorry, voice vote, I'm sorry. Opposed? Commissioner Walton has been elected chairperson of the Williamson County Commission for a one-year term. I turn the chair back over to Chairman Walton. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jeff, and I sure appreciate this honor, and hope to do my best. The next item is nomination for vice chairman. I'll entertain a motion for that.
Nominate Lou Green. Second.
Proper motion and second. Are there any other nominations? All right. Nomination ceased. All in favor of Commissioner Green as vice chairman signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And Commissioner Green has been elected for a one-year term. Congratulations. Next item is approval of the minutes of the regular July 8th County Commission meeting. Copies were mailed to each commissioner. I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Wilson, Commissioner Chalifant, the second. Any additions or deletions? I see none. Are they loaded? No, they're voice vote. All in favor of the commission's, of the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And they pass. Next item is introduction and acceptance of Highway Commission meetings. They were also mailed to you. I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Dwight Jones, Commissioner Hayes the second. Any addition or deletions there? I hear none. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of minutes as submitted, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And they are accepted. Next, we have citizens communication, and we have, how many we got? Okay, we've got 5. Our rules call for 15 minutes total, so 5, that gives each person 3 minutes. So when I call your name, please come up and state your name and your address for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes. The first person is Kent Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We moved here in 2006 for the same reason that several
Excuse me,
hundred.
Mr. Davis.
Kent
would you
Davis,
State your address too, please.
505 Skyhawk Place.
Thank you.
For the same reason, probably several 100,000 people have moved here in the last 30 or 40 years. It's a good place to live, the location, and I've seen some numbers that says somebody believes there'll be 500,000 people in Williamson County by the year 2040. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not, but I think we're going to continue to attract people for the same reasons that we're here. And as far as the issues tonight, there's two things I'd just try to say to you very quickly. One of the reasons had to do with health care in this area. I think that will continue. The subject tonight has to do with some of the relationships between Vanderbilt and the county hospital, but I don't think, the issue is to debate that tonight. But there are 2 or 3 changes that all of us are facing. The first one is I look around the room, there's a whole bunch of senior citizens. Now, I've been taken out of the Medicare pool for 9 years. Now, that's good news and bad news. My health is still reasonably good. I might have a life expectancy going another 15 years. But here's the sobering thing. There are 10,000 of us coming into Medicare every day. And that's the baby boom generation. That's 3.5 million people, $12,000 a year. So if anybody says they're going to cut Medicare, forget it. That's not going to happen. So the question is, who pays? And some of the things that we fear, like rationing, that are out on the table today, those are the issues I think we will face in the future. And so we as a country and others are going to have to deal with this issue. And there are 2 or 3 things you can think of. You can either raise taxes, or people talk about cuts, but there aren't any cuts. It's just maybe it'll grow a little slower. But technically, we could bankrupt our country just on this issue. So as a county, as a city, you're hearing all this talk about premium increases. There's no question they are coming, and probably this year. And it's going to be a fearful thing, I think, to you as a citizen, what you pay out of your pocket, plus you as an elected official are going to have to worry about. The second thing I would say you look at is Vanderbilt is doing what Vanderbilt needs to do for Vanderbilt's survival. But I can tell you, I don't care whether you're the smallest county hospital or whether you're the Cleveland Clinic. Hospitals everywhere are threatened by their very existence. And one of the things that they could not do anything about is the hospital business started changing when outpatient surgery came into the business. My dad had open heart surgery in 1970. He was in the hospital 2 days and home. People used to stay for weeks and months for hernia surgery and that kind of thing. So we have empty hospital beds in the best run hospitals. That is the future. So outpatient surgery, Cool Springs surgery centers, that's where medical care is going. And so what the arrangements are between local hospitals and major providers is going to continue to change. And I think you'll probably be dealing with it as a governing body, and this is just the start. But the tsunami is us geezers. Now, I'd hate to see 10,000 people a day try to work through here and think they're all moving to Williamson County. They're not. But 10,000 people is a lot of people. So folks, we got lots of challenges ahead of us, and I just think that this arrangement between Vanderbilt and Williamson is a start. I'll say only one thing from my own corporate experience. There are a lot of arrangements, joint ventures, partnerships. I will say that traditionally, 51% of vote gives you control. And if you will start to read through the agreements that we're making on walk-in clinics and that kind of thing, whether you're a 49% partner or a 10% partner, that kind of thing, you're a minority partner. And so I would suggest that you look at these, and we're going to be working through them one-on-one. One of the first one announced is the walk-in clinics, as you know. But I'm not sure where all this is going, but there will have to be more of it because Vanderbilt's doing what they have to do to survive, and so is Williamson Medical.
Thank you. Next, we have Mark Shore.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Mayor. My name is Mark Shore. 400 Main Street is the offices of the Williamson County Convention and Visitors Bureau. and I'm here to give you a quick update and an invitation as well. On September the 17th through the 19th, Williamson County will be hosting the Tennessee Governor's Conference on Tourism. It's the first time it's been here in about 7 or 8 years, and so we are excited about having that here in this community and wanted to make you all aware of that. The Tennessee Tourism Roundtable, which operates the website and does the registration for the conference, is the one that is setting that up. But we're expecting somewhere between 300 and 400 people here, welcoming the entire state tourism industry here to Williamson County and showing them the best of what we have. Mayor Anderson will be welcoming the group. I understand he has no competition from any other mayors this time, so that'll be a good thing. And he can claim all he wants to for Williamson County. We're proud to have them coming in, our colleagues. So if you see folks in town on the 17th through the 19th, please welcome them. And if you would like to join us for any of the activities, please let my offices know that as well. Next month, after the Governor's Conference on Tourism, I'm going to have some numbers to share with you. I'm very optimistic that there'll be good numbers. I like bringing good numbers back to you all, but I think that we're going to find that we are maintaining our position in the state and growing rapidly in those tourism expenditures that are coming into the area. And then the third thing that I wanted to share with you is, again, to thank you. About 1.5 years ago, you all locked in and secured our funding, which allowed us to do some things over the past 1.5 years. One was to move into a new visitor center. We moved out of a 168 square foot building into a 1,200 square foot building. And we have gone in 5 years from about 7,000 visitors a year. This year, we're on track to reach 30,000 visitors walking through the doors of our new visitor center. We had 400 in 3 hours on Friday night. So downtown Franklin is the place for us to reach them and tell them where to go spend their money and enjoy their time here. So I wanted to thank you again, and invitation to the Governor's Conference is open. If you'd like to attend any of those functions, please let me know. And it is open to the public at the Tennessee Tourism Roundtable website. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have is Caleb Ferris.
Yes, I'm Caleb Ferris, 105 Alexander Drive, and I've got a couple sets of images. If you don't mind, I'd like to pass around for you. I've been in the Franklin area for about 10 years now, and I'm an educator and a father of 4 children. And what I want to address is actually just a few concerns I have about the haunted trail that is put in place annually at the Franklin Recreation Complex. The Williamson County Parks and Rec website states that this haunted trail is designed out of a need to provide safe Halloween entertainment for the entire family. But I would like to contend that this particular display is not an appropriate use of public property, particularly as it's not appropriate for all ages. A number of friends have witnessed mothers on that trail in the area when the display is up, encountering the grotesque images, monsters, a human chop shop, as you can see in the images there, occultic pentagram symbols, those mothers turning around and walking away because of the visual offense. And as a father of 4 young children, I can certainly understand. And this is sort of the nightmare kind of image. And they certainly don't serve those children, but rather harm them. And because of that, I believe this is not a proper use of public property. The location of the haunted trail is actually adjacent to the sport fields where a lot of young children practice during the week. And because the display is set up early in the week, that's up all week during the course of the day, I just don't think it's right for a parent to have to remove their child from soccer practice or what have you in order to avoid exposure to those images. A friend of mine had contacted Mr. Hood of the Parks and Rec and was told that since the county had done this for about 20 years, there was no reason to change. And that's actually the reason I'm here to offer an appeal, because I believe this is an improper use of public property. Some have stated that it doesn't employ any public funding. I do understand that the drama group of Franklin High School is involved in running that trail, so I don't know what all is involved there, but it does cause some concern. And beyond that, I think just the use of the arts to offend and shock instead of edify is also concerning to me. And so really the basis of my appeal is for the common standards of decency that have made Franklin, Tennessee such a wonderful place to live in the first place. And so I'm appealing for the protection of an innocent public, particularly for those children, and also to recognize the proper jurisdictional bounds of authority, both civil and family. And I think there may be a number of resolutions to the problem. Something as easy as shortening the duration of this display, covering those images during the course of the week so that unwanted viewers don't have to face those, or perhaps removing it from public property. Whatever it is, though, I know that I don't speak simply for myself. There are many other residents here in Franklin that feel the same way. Some of them are here tonight with me. And I just want to thank you for your time. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Next we have is Tom Fearborn.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Tom Fearborn. I live at 3017 Liberty Hills Drive. I come here tonight in support of Resolution 91327 dealing with funding of emergency service facilities here in the county. I also come here as a member of that building committee, and I also speak for the board of directors of the Communication District, which I am the vice chair. I also sit as a member of the advisory committee for the Emergency Management Agency. A year or so ago, I spent about 24 months on the mayor's public safety task force of 50 members of citizens who are in different types of professions throughout this community, including one or two that's sitting on this commission. The mayor has implemented part of the task force recommendations that came to this commission, but there's some critical elements that need to be taken care of, and they're in this resolution tonight. I would like to mention 5 of them. The recommendation of that task force was that we needed critically now a 911 center that would be adequate to meet our needs today and in the future. An emergency operations center so that we can take care of the response and recovery operations during disasters. A joint emergency service training facility, which we do not have. A public safety and emergency management administrative space, which is limited. And we also need an area for specialized equipment to be secure in this county, which you do not have at this time. All of these elements are in this resolution tonight to be funded and can take care of all the recommendations of that task force dealing with emergency management services. I call your attention about a year ago to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. During that tornado, they lost the 911 center, and for about 48 hours, there was complete chaos in that community. The public was very unhappy that they had a 911 center that didn't meet the needs and the safety of those operators and also the safety of the citizens within that community. As a former director of emergency management for the state of Oklahoma, I've had the opportunity to look at vulnerabilities and capabilities of emergency services and operations centers. And I can assure you today that our facility downstairs, both the 911 center and the emergency management operations center and the public safety office, does not meet the needs now or in the future. And I urge you tonight to support this resolution for the public safety of our citizens in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Mr. Dave Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, and Mayor. My name's David Mitchell. I reside at 1342 Elliott Road in Franklin, Tennessee. I'm here tonight as a citizen of Williamson County and also as a first responder for over 40 years. I'm not going to repeat some of the same things that Tom echoed, but I spent my first leg in emergency management. I was a police officer in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I later was a deputy sheriff in Hillsborough County, Florida. I then worked for the FBI for 26 and a half years, retiring in October of 2004 as a special agent in charge in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I took that assignment 2 years after September the 11th attack. I returned home to my state of Tennessee, which was my home, and my wife chose to reside in Franklin, noting that my wife is a school teacher and my daughter's a school teacher in Williamson County. During my 40 years of service, I've seen many different disasters, the need for a top-shelf emergency operations center. But when it really hit home is after I came back to Tennessee. I was blessed to be the Commissioner of Public Safety and the Homeland Security Director under Governor Phil Bredesen for 6 years. It allowed me to work in all 95 counties in Tennessee. I was blessed to work with the first responders that take care of our citizens during times of disasters and major events. A couple of things. The last committee meeting when it was first proposed, the budget was proposed, I think, to the Budget Committee. I heard the mayor talk about the night of the floods in May of 2010. I got home about 10 o'clock that night, and the mayor called me at home, and he asked for state support. It takes a complete team effort, but the communications that night was not adequate here in Williamson County, but we had a mayor and a sheriff that were out on the streets protecting those citizens and working with our National Guard to take care of a complete development that many of the homes were underwater. Also, when I was a state commissioner and the Homeland Security Director, I went to I counted them today, I went to 12 tornado scenes, a number of which where lives were lost and complete communities and subdivisions were wiped out. We are in Tornado Alley today. There is no doubt about it. The science supports it, and I think that's probably our number one concern. But last of all, I would just like to speak about the men and women that work for us in this county. Mac and Bill and Alan and that staff and the sheriff, of course, and the police departments. When these disasters hit, these men and women need the best equipment, and they need the funding to support that. I respectfully request that you consider this and vote yes for this recommendation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Moving on, we have communications and messages. We have one late file resolution tonight, 9/13/31. It's on your agenda under appropriations, and it's be the last resolution under appropriations. If there's no objections, we'll hear that then. So I see none, so we will hear resolution 9/13/31 at the end of appropriations. Next thing, I'd like to thank Deputy Gully and Deputy Zawinski for being here tonight. We appreciate you, and the sheriff, and we appreciate y'all being here. Also, like to call on the mayor. While he's coming up, let me call these people up. From Post 22, American Legion Post 22, James Edmondson. James, you here? Come on up. Jim Howard. From Post 156, Brentwood, Edwin Trowbridge. David Thomas, Dennis Anglin. From Post 215 in Franklin, David Carruthers. Howard Donnell Lane. In Post 248 in Fairview, Randall Odom and Salvatore Cali. Y'all would come up. Mayor?
Mr. Chairman, I respect you a great deal, but there's a whole bunch of other gentlemen back there that you mind if they come up also?
Not at all.
I didn't figure you would. If the rest of the American Legions, come on up here. As they're coming up there, I know there are many sitting around this table and others here in this audience that are veterans, have served this country in some capacity, in some form. It always gives me great honor to acknowledge and do some proclaiming as we do for our men and women that have had the uniform on. Tonight, this was brought to our attention by Stan Tyson, who used to be one of the county commissioners here and sat around this table for many years, and we thank Stan for that. If you will indulge me as I read this. The Congress of the United States granted the American Legion a federal chapter on 16 September 1919 under U.S. Code Title 38, which covers patriotic and natural observances, ceremonies, and organizations. This action followed a convention of members of the American force still stationed in Europe and subsequent meetings in St. Louis, Missouri, wherein the mission of the organization was defined, and whereas the American Legion was incorporated by Congress in 1919 as a patriotic veterans organization devoted to mutual helpfulness. It is the nation's largest wartime veteran service organization committed to mentoring youth and sponsorship of wholesome programs in our communities, advocating patriotism and honor, promoting strong national security, and continued devotion to our fellow service members and veterans. And whereas the Legion evolved from a group of veterans of World War I to become one of the largest nonprofit service organizations in the United States, today's membership stands at over 2.4 million in 14,000 posts worldwide. Organized into departments, posts are found in every state, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, France, Mexico, and the Philippines. And whereas American Legion Post 22, Franklin, Tennessee, number 156, Brentwood, Tennessee, number 215, Franklin, Tennessee, and number 248, Fairview, join with the other posts throughout the United States requesting that city, county, and state governments issue proclamations making September 16th American Legion Day in honor of those who have served, those currently serving, and those whose future has yet to be defined. It is now therefore that I be resolved that as a mayor here in Williamson County, I proclaim September 16th as American Legion Day. Welcome as we stand and let's welcome these men here.
County Mayor was kind enough to give me the mic just for a moment. On behalf of the veterans and legionnaires of Williamson County, I just want to say thank you for this proclamation. I am the commander of Post 22, and I stand in the shadow of honorable and dedicated men, especially the commanders that served before me, the commanders that I serve with now. I'm very proud and honored to receive this proclamation. Thank you.
All right, now we have reports from county offices. County Mayor Rogers Anderson.
Thank you. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. It's always great to honor those men. If I could, I'll call upon Nina to come forward and give us a financial snapshot of the position of our county at this time. Nina?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commission. We have several reports to go over this evening. I apologize for some of those coming to you later. The holiday this month kind of caught me off guard. I'm not sure what order you have yours in, so I'll just start. You have your budget report for the end of July. We've got our year up and running for the current year. One thing I'll call your attention to down in the appropriations, under your current month total and your actual year-to-date, the difference in those two figures, your year-to-date total will have your purchase order total within that. That's why it's not the same number. Also have your June budget report with our final figures for that month. Also included is the final revised detailed budget summary, which will have your year-end fund balances and our estimated revenues for the year, as well as our expenditures and our estimated ending fund balance for the year. That should be our final figures. Also, you have your July privilege tax report. The privilege taxes are still coming in strong. We had a total collection of $1.1 million for the month of July. And if you look at your chart, it's the strongest July in the last 5 to 6 years. Also, we have the Cool Springs Conference Center reports. For the month of July, we did have to pay back $28,542,26. 28,000, sorry. I've been looking at some big numbers lately. In the month of June, we received $12,929.40. And then you also see your summary report for the month, for the year. We ended 2013 with a net of $246,000. That's all the reports I have for you this month. If anyone has any questions.
Any questions for Nina? Where we at? Commissioner Danner?
Great. Hi, Nina.
Hello.
Thank you so much for this report. I look at this report is all of the bond items that we're going to go to market with this fall and basically put on our county credit card. And I kind of look at this list as our electronic shopping basket. And before we hit, go check out, this is the total of $107 million was gut-wrenching. That's what we're going to put on the credit card this fall. And so I just have a couple questions on that so that we can all be on the same page and kind of have a clear picture of what we're looking at and what we can afford and what we cannot afford, in my opinion. So if everything votes yes tonight, we have $70 million on the plate tonight that we could potentially borrow bond money and put on the county credit card. That would bring us to 107 if it all passes this fall. The other thing that I think is important to know is not just what's in the shopping cart, but what we can have, what we can afford. Can you give us an idea, and I know this is putting you on the spot, and I apologize, but last November I asked a similar question, and we had a margin of like $31 million that we could afford to borrow without raising taxes. So if we were to say yes to all of this 107 this fall, would we need to raise taxes if we spent nothing else the following year? Would we need to raise taxes next year?
I've looked at some projections for the upcoming year, and being able to use our adequate facilities tax and our privilege taxes. At this time, it does not show that we would need a tax increase if all taxes remain level or continue to grow. In looking at this bond issue and other requests that are coming up, at that point thereafter, we probably would have to look at our revenue sources.
Right. So just to reiterate that, if we were to say yes to everything and go to the bond market and borrow $107 million this fall and nothing else in the next 12 months, we might be okay. But considering that we've got construction costs for the schools coming within the next 12 months, if not sooner, the $97 million that the schools have in their capital request for next year, we would have a revenue problem.
I think we would need to look at our revenues
All right.
that are coming in. But one thing too to point out, the 30 million on the hospital, I think you all are aware that that's an in and out because they are a self-supporting. They do pay that back to the county. So that portion, when you're looking at that, is not factored in to the payback schedule for the county.
Yeah, good point. Thank you, Nina.
Commissioner Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just as a follow-up to Commissioner Danner's comments, first of all, Nina, thank you very much for the report. It was excellent, and I look forward to going into it in further detail. Just for the record, if we were to pass everything on the agenda this evening, where will the county's debt stand as far as on the books?
Currently, we are at 462 million. So this would be added to that.
So we'll be approximately 530 million if everything passes tonight. Okay, thank you.
Also, I forgot to mention that you do have your debt book at your desk. There were some changes this year. We tried to put a summary section in the front for you, and then all the detailed tabs are in the back of that. I'm also working with our financial advisor and getting this year and the last 2 years in the same summary layout, and we'll have that on the website for you in the next week or two.
Any further questions? I see none. Mayor?
Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report. I would like to touch on something that one of the speakers brought to the attention, and I encourage you to go to a website and look at that. Kent Davis mentioned that we'd probably be having several hundred more thousand people than what we've currently got. We've got about 192,000 people in Williamson County. The projections are for the year 2040, about 26 years from now, that we will double in population in Williamson County. Even more astounding to me is that in the Middle Tennessee area, the MSA of Davison and Rutherford and Wilson and Cheatham, several of the counties surrounding Davison County, the population in Middle Tennessee is estimated to be well over 1 million more people by the year 2040. We're already seeing a lot of that explosion growth, and you will hear, I'm sure, a little later from either the school board chair or Jason Golden how our numbers already this year are exceeding what the best estimates that we had. I say all that to say that we are a growing county. It's a very desirable place in which a lot of people are wanting to move here and live, to play and work, and to worship and enjoy our fine public school systems that we have. I think the challenge before you is we go before different things, and I understand debt as you do. Debt is like water oftentimes, in that it's something we enjoy, we swim in it, we drink it, but it can also drown you. This is a Moody's AAA bond-rated county, and we work very hard. You work very hard, and we try to give you that data. We're going to have disagreements. But if this growth continues to come here, you as leaders and myself, we have to embrace some of these things that we're going to have to do. Some of us are going to have to step out on the front and figure out ways to find solutions that we've not been able to find solutions in the past. Nobody likes raising taxes. No one likes raising anything with a revenue source on it. Growth will take care of some of that, but it won't pay the full bill. So it's your wisdom and it's your collective wisdom that's going to go through and have to look at things like school buildings and more school buildings and public safety buildings and many of the other things that we've come to enjoy here in our county. If you have individual questions, you've got concerns, don't hesitate to call Nina or myself, because each and every one of us are ultimately responsible for what we do here in this county and in this city. And we make an effort from all the points. We're working together with our mayors and our aldermen and commissioners, trying to make this a place that's the most desirable place to live. And I personally think it's one of the finest places to live in America. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you. Next, we have Jason Golden. Dr. Looney couldn't be with us tonight, so Assistant Director Golden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jason Golden. I'm the Deputy Superintendent and General Counsel for the school system. Dr. Looney is in a superintendent's conference, a statewide conference in East Tennessee, and is not able to come today. I did want to give you a couple of specific updates. Mayor Anderson actually mentioned to you the growth that we've experienced. We actually, this year, have experienced so far about a 3.2% growth. In raw numbers, that totals a little over 980 more students than we had last year when school let out. Now, the bulk of our growth tends to happen over the summer when families tend to move. We expect the numbers to creep up a little bit over the course of the school year. To put that in a little bit of perspective for you, the last time we've experienced growth of that amount was in 09-10. So we're starting to increase that curve beyond what we've had for the last few years. On your agenda tonight, we've included some requests for funding related to new schools, especially in the northeast part of the county. If the schools are constructed on the schedule that we expect, the next school will actually open in 2015. That will be a 4-year gap between our schools opening. 2011 was the most recent school opening. I look back at our data, we haven't had a 4-year gap in new schools since 1982-86, when Brentwood opened, and then we had a 4-year gap before Grassland Middle. That is a result of two main things. One of which is the growth slowed a little bit. We've actually gotten about 2,500 students, new students, since 2011. Of course, that's a lot more than a school. But we also rezoned about 2.5 years ago. And so the combination of that slowed growth, where we were getting about 800 or so extra students a year, plus the rezoning, has allowed us to push that window as far as we reasonably could before we're going to need a new school. And so the request that we have before you is largely to do infrastructure and design work for that new school. And with the Commission's permission, I would like to introduce to you our chair, Pat Anderson. She would like to make a presentation.
Please do.
Thank you, Mr. Golden. Chairman Walton, Commissioners, Mayor Anderson. As the mayor just indicated, we are truly blessed to live in a community that values and supports public education. The County Commission and the County Mayor make no exception to that support. At your July meeting, the Commission graciously stepped up and gave the board an additional penny to ensure that the Williamson County School budget was adequately funded and met state guidelines. Since our budget is based on best estimates at any given time, it is often difficult to pinpoint an exact number for our fund balance because we use that as a revenue source. After we officially closed our books in late July and all estimates became actuals, our fund balance was in a better position than we had originally thought. Even though state law prevents our board from returning those monies to this body, on behalf of the board, I'm here this evening to present this ceremonial check in the amount of $700,000. Mayor Anderson, would you like to come and receive this? This may not happen again, so you might want to take advantage of that.
So you can say it that way.
Okay. This check represents our board's commitment to transparency to this commission as well as to the community. On behalf of the board, I want to thank you for your dedication and your support for Williamson County Schools. We sincerely appreciate each of you and your commitment. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You spend the ceremonial check.
Drop it, see if it bounces. push your button, yeah. Dwight does too. Hey, Cheryl. Push your button. Oh, okay. Hey, Jason? Yep. Oh. We got a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Commissioner Danner?
Hi, Jason.
Hi.
You're the perfect person to ask.
No, we'll see.
Because you had a great segue into my question. We're voting tonight on the design costs for 2 schools, and one opens in 2015 and one in 2016. And in the last Education Committee meeting, I asked the question, and I believe you confirmed the answer, that there is not a policy, but a promise from the school board and from Dr. Looney to the community at large that 2 years before a school opens, that the zoning plan would be presented to those families affected. So help me understand where the zoning plan is then for the K through 8 that opens in 2015, 2 years from last month.
Well, Dr. Looney did address that, and the board obviously has not gotten funding yet, and the board will be addressing that in the next couple of months.
Which, the promise? Are you revising your commitment, or?
Addressing the zoning question.
Okay, so you missed the opportunity, so you're not going to make the 2-year mark last month. So it's going to be, are you changing the promise? Are you going to show zoning 1 year before school opens, 18 months before school
We
opens?
had actually asked for the total funding for these projects last November. We have not received the funding at this point, and so there's no reasonable way to do it until we receive that funding.
I can't vote for construction funding without seeing a zoning plan, and I think that you owe it to the people. If the promise was to show them where the zoning was going to be 2 years before the door opens, I think you should stick to your promise.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Dwight Jones? Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Jason.
Okay.
At this time, is Kathy Montgomery here? And if you would stand, or you're welcome to come up and speak. I just wanted to introduce her. She do what? Yeah, Ms. Montgomery is the new county health director, and we want to welcome you, and so everybody knows who you are, and you're welcome to say something if you
Oh,
like.
well, thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity. I've got some big shoes to fill since Becky Brumley left in June, actually in July. So I look forward to working with each of you, and we've got a very, very dedicated team of healthcare professionals and administrative folks at the health department. So I look forward to leading that team for the county. So thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Any other reports from county offices? I see none. Commissioner Barnwell?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Last week at the Tennessee County Commissioners Association regional meetings, one of the topics of conversation, you'll have it on your desk. You'll see that area code 615 is quickly running out of phone numbers. And they're anticipating, Tennessee Regulatory Authority is anticipating in the middle of 2015, area code 615 will be full. They're dealing with 2 options with the federal government on this, and this is for the public also to know there's going to be some transition happening. And they're looking for input from the public to see which way is the preferable way to go. They have 2 options to work with, and one is called an overlay. And this would be a system of 615 would stay in effect until they ran out of numbers. And then a new area code would be brought in to overlay the top of 615 area. The county is represented by 615. And we would go to a 10-digit call system with that, with the new area code. Another option would be a split, which would be taking the 615 area code, and there's like 7 or 8 counties now within the 615 area code, and saying, oh, county, you 3 counties are going to stay 615, you 4 counties are going to a new area code. They would still all be local calls according to the feds, but you can never tell with the feds. But if this is more for the public, because you all have these brochures, and there's some extra ones around. If the public would like further information, they need to call the Tennessee Regulatory Authority at 1-800-342-8359, extension 174. And they hopefully would, they're looking for your input for what you want, the overlay or the split. And so it's coming at us. It's going to get here sooner than you anticipate. And that's all I had. I just want to bring that up so the public can be aware of that.
Thank you, Commissioner Barnwell. Commissioner Hayes?
Yes, I'd like to say that survey is online for you to go online and vote too. In talking about earlier about hearing how many people had come here and were predicted to come, I think it's marvelous that we have such a county that everybody wants to be here. And I'm very proud of our county. I was blessed to be born here, but I know why people come. And it is not just because of the beauty of the area, although that's wonderful. It's because of the great departments and the great leadership that has been here and the citizens who've been involved. And I want to personally say that our departments are all very excellent, and they've all made us proud. Some that particularly need to be mentioned tonight, I think. We always know that the school system has the best test scores in the state. We also know what great highways we have and roads we have, and what excellent sports and parks and rec. But I want to say tonight, too, that we also have the best sheriff of the year. It's already been suggested tonight. We do have great teamwork. We also received notification from Keep America Beautiful that Keep Williamson Beautiful won an outstanding award for their dedication to the county. We're very proud of that. Also, the Solid Waste Department is initiating a pilot program in recycling mattresses. From July until through August, we have recycled over 1,000 mattresses in a pilot program. We're also looking into recycling carpet because we have so much carpet. These are new and innovative things that we're trying to do to take care of our citizens and our solid waste and protecting our landfills. I also want to say that our animal control has been suggested that it is the very best animal control shelter in the entire region. Our thanks to all, to Laura and the former director and all the wonderful things that are happening there. All these things make us very proud and very honored to serve this wonderful community. And I think it goes without saying that we are blessed, and this is why people want to come. And I hope we will continue making it the wonderful place it is.
Thank you, Commissioner Hayes. Moving on to elections and appointments. The first we have Library Board of Trustees, Regional, resign, Gilbert Bossy Jr., nomination, Paul Webb. Ford and Cook, okay, second. If you notice on his nominee form, I don't think we have, it is correct?
Yes, sir.
Where is Buffalo River?
We are now in that region.
Oh, I stand corrected. Okay. First mistake I've made since about 7:30. We got a proper motion and a second. All in favor of Paul Webb, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And Mr. Webb has been confirmed. The Health Board, registered nurse, filling unexpired term, expires 4/14. Resign, Gina Roush. Nomination, Rhonda Watson. Commissioner Ryan, the second. Any other nominations? I see none. If you're in favor of Rhonda Watson, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, moving on, we got Budget Committee. Commissioner Tommy Little, Chairman. Tom Bain, Brian Bethard, Greg Davis, Rogers Anderson on the Budget Committee. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Cook, the second. All in favor of the Budget Committee, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Budget Committee is approved. Purchasing and Insurance Committee, Jeff Ford, Lou Green, Judy Hayes, Steve Smith, Rogers Anderson. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Commissioner Little, Commissioner Cook, the second. All in favor of the Purchasing and Insurance Committee, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Investment Committee, Rogers Anderson, Company Mayor and Chair, Commissioner Betsy Hester, Commissioner Dwight Jones, Commissioner Brandon Ryan, and Joey Davis, trustee. I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Wilson, Commissioner Ricky Jones, the second. All in favor of the Investment Committee signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? They are confirmed. The Audit Committee, Commissioner Travis Hawkins, Commissioner Tommy Little, Commissioner Ernie Williams. I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Hester, Commissioner Dwight Jones, the second. All in favor of the Audit Committee signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? They are confirmed. Law Enforcement Public Safety Committee, Commissioner Jeff Ford, Commissioner Lou Green, Commissioner Judy Herbert, Commissioner Betsy Hester, Commissioner Ricky Jones, Commissioner Steve Smith, Commissioner Cheryl Wilson. I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Cook, Commissioner Little, the second. All in favor of the Law Enforcement Committee signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? They are confirmed. Property Committee, Commissioner Barnwell, Commissioner Brockman, Commissioner Chalifant, Commissioner Ford, Commissioner Hayes, Commissioner Dwight Jones, Commissioner Langston. I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Little, the motion. Commissioner Wilson, the second. All in favor of the Property Committee signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Education Committee, Commissioner Barnwell, Commissioner Arlene Cook, Commissioner Kathy Danner, Commissioner Lou Green, Commissioner Judy Herbert, Commissioner Brandon Ryan, Commissioner Steve Smith. Entertain a motion.
Move for approval. Second.
Commissioner Little, Dwight Jones, the second. All in favor of Education Committee signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Education Committee passes. Public Health Committee, Commissioner Mary Brockman, Commissioner Bert Chalifant, Commissioner John Hancock, Commissioner Travis Hawkins, Commissioner Judy Hayes, Commissioner Ricky Jones, Commissioner Cheryl Wilson. Entertain a motion. Commissioner Dwight Jones.
Second.
Commissioner Tommy Little, the second. All in favor of the Public Health Committee signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Public Health Committee is confirmed. Tax Study Committee, Commissioner Arlene Cook, Commissioner Kathy Danner, Commissioner John Hancock, Commissioner Doug Langston, Commissioner Ernie Williams. I'll entertain a motion. Commissioner Hayes. Commissioner Dwight Jones, the second. All in favor of Tax Study Committee signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? They are confirmed. Moving on to the consent agenda. Let's see, let me get caught up here. All right. I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda. I believe it's just the notaries, isn't it? All right. I'll entertain a motion. The notaries are in your packet.
Move for approval. Second.
Commissioner Little, Commissioner Cook. All in favor of the notaries signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Do we need to vote on that, or
You're fine.
voice vote? Okay. Consent agenda passes. Moving on to zoning, we have a public hearing. Resolution of the Williamson County Board of Commissioners to adopt amendments to the 2013 Williamson County zoning ordinance originally adopted May 14, 2012, regarding maximum gross residential density within the Municipal Growth Area 1, MGA 1, and Municipal Growth Area 5, also known as MGA 5, zoning districts. I sign this, I'll move for approval. Oh, I'm sorry. It is a public hearing. So I'll open the floor in a minute. If anyone would like to speak to this, please come up and state your name and your address at the podium. So we'll open the public hearing. And if anyone would like to speak to this resolution, please come forward. I see none. Everybody good with it? So we'll close the public hearing. Now, I'll move, I'll entertain a motion to move for approval.
So moved.
Mr. Bain, Commissioner Wilson, the second. And this and the next one, I think, is just cleaning up some verbiage in the resolution in the growth amendment. So, any discussion? Yeah, and I saw Christie earlier, so if anybody's got any questions. Commissioner Danner.
Yes. Well, if Christie's going to come up, or if someone's going to come up, that'd be great. I just, on the packet, it says that the differences are in red and they're not in color in the packet, so it's very difficult to tell. I'm curious to know where these areas are and what the intent is of these amendments.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. And I apologize that there was a reference to a red font that wasn't in the package. This amendment simply fixes an error. There was an error in a couple of tables where the allowable density field in a couple of zoning districts was inadvertently omitted. It doesn't change the density in these two zoning districts. It simply
Not in red.
fixes that error. So
I get it.
the density is the same as they were always intended to be. The tables just somehow didn't get printed with the right information. These, in terms of which areas these are the municipal growth areas which coincide with the urban growth boundaries. So it mirrors exactly the recommendation from the comprehensive plan. And again, it's just to clean up some tables that were in error.
Follow up, Commissioner Danner.
Can you just tell me the locations, like where in the county these are? What-
Surrounding each of the municipalities in the county, there is what's called an urban growth boundary that was established back in about 2000, where the municipalities and the counties and the county got together and established those boundaries. Our zoning reflects that geographic boundary with these zoning districts, so there are areas surrounding the municipalities that are zoned to reflect the fact that they're in the urban growth boundaries.
Mike, scoot up a little bit over to that mic there. We can hear
Thanks.
you better. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? I see none. Thank you, Mike. If you're in favor of Resolution 913-1, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
22 yes, 1 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 913-2 is, we'll move on with, it's through with public hearing, so move on to appropriations. Resolution 913-2, resolution amending the 2013-14 Parks and Recreation budget by $190,000, revenues to come from unappropriated county general funds. Commissioner Williams? Commissioner Wilson. Parks and Rec Committee met, but we had no quorum. Budget Committee,
4-0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Williams.
This is from the Williamson County Parks, there need to repair the parking lots at the Franklin Recreation Complex and the indoor sports complex, and also the tennis courts. And as I understand it, the funds were not used in 2012, 2013, and they were returned to the fund balance as being unused.
All right, any questions? I see none, you ready to vote? If you're in favor of Resolution 913-2, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm.
Mr. Hancock.
Commissioner Hancock's out. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
22 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 913-3, resolution appropriating and amending the 2013-14 Circuit Court Clerk's budget by $20,000, revenues to come from reserve account. Commissioner Williams?
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Brockman, the second. Budget Committee,
4-0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Williams.
This is for office equipment to operation of the Circuit Court Clerk's office. That's Debbie McMillan's office. The reserve funds are available for this equipment.
Any questions? I see none. If you're in favor of Resolution 913-3, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
22 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 913-4, resolution appropriating and amending the 2013-14 clerk and master's budget by $10,000, revenues to come from reserve account. Commissioner Williams?
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Brockman, the second. Budget Committee?
4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Williams.
There are a need for 2 credit card scanners and 2 document scanners. There are reserve funds available for the purchase of this equipment, total amount of $10,000.
Any questions? I see none. If you're in favor of Resolution 913-4, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
Okay. 22 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 913-5, resolution appropriating and amending the 2013-14 county clerk's budget by $10,000, revenues to come from reserve account. Commissioner Williams?
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Brockman, the second. Budget Committee report.
4-0 against.
Explanation.
This is from Ms. Anderson's office for various computer and printed equipment, and there are funds available in the reserve fund.
All right. Any questions? I see none. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of 913-5, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time.
Commissioner Hawkins.
Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 913-6, resolution appropriating and amending the 2013-14 Ag Expo Park budget by $10,000, revenues to come from donations and unappropriated fund balance. Commissioner Williams?
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Brockman, the second. Budget Committee?
4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Williams.
There were donations made in the amount of $10,000 and to utilize and upgrade the outside electrical services for Barn B, wherever that's at. But the money's supposed to be there in donations.
All right. Any discussion? I see none. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of 913-6, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution appropriating and amending the 2013-14 library budget by $2,387, revenues to come from grant funds. Commissioner Barnwell?
Move for approval.
Second.
Who was the second? Commissioner Langston? All right. Library Board?
5-4, 0 against.
Budget Committee?
4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Barnwell.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Memorial Library Foundation received a state grant in this amount for data processing supplies, and this is just our ability to use it now.
All right. Any questions? See none. If you're in favor of Resolution 913-7, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 913-8, resolution appropriating and amending the 2013-2014 library budget by $42,896.88, revenues to come from miscellaneous donations. Commissioner Barnwell.
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Langston, the second. Library Board.
5-4, 0 against.
Budget Committee.
4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Barnwell.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this was funds we received toward the end of last year that we couldn't get spent at the end of last year, so this is the accounting procedure to get them into this year's budget so we can spend them.
Okay. Any discussion? I see none. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of 913-8, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 913-9, resolution appropriating and amending the 2013-2014 library budget by $25,901.20. Revenues to come from miscellaneous donations. Commissioner Barnwell,
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Langston the second. Library Board,
5-4-0 against.
Budget Committee,
4-0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Barnwell.
Yes, similar to the last resolution, except we received the money this year. So we're trying to put it into the budget so we can spend it.
Okay. Any discussion? I see none. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of 913-9, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote? Commissioner Hester?
Commissioner Hester. Thank
There we
you.
go. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 913-11, resolution amending the 2013-14 Williamson County General Sessions DUI Court budget by $4,414.17. Revenues to come from unappropriated county general fund balance. Commissioner Hancock,
Move for approval.
Commissioner Wilson, the second. Law Enforcement Committee,
6 in favor, 0 against.
Budget Committee,
4-0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
These expenditures are just of donated funds that were not exhausted, and the revenues are from unappropriated general fund balance
Okay.
for the DUI court.
Any questions? I see none. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of Resolution 913-11, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 913-12, resolution appropriating and amending the 2013-14 General Sessions DUI Court budget by $19,389.64 for the DUI program revenues to come from state grant funds. Commissioner Hancock,
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Hester, the second. Law Enforcement Committee,
6 in favor, 0 against.
Budget Committee,
4-0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is federal grant money that's coming through for alcohol countermeasure highway safety projects. Expenditures are $19,389.64, and the revenues are coming from the grant.
All right. Any questions? I see none. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of 913-12, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 913-13, resolution amending the 2013-14 General Sessions DUI Court budget by $68,230.60. Revenues to come from federal grant funds. Commissioner Hancock,
Move for approval.
Commissioner Wilson, the second. Law Enforcement Committee,
6 in favor, 0 against.
Budget Committee,
4-0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this again is grant funds to the amount of $68,230.60 that will go through to assist the DUI court.
All right. Any questions? I see none. If you're in favor of Resolution 913-13, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button, and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 91314, resolution appropriating $144.87 to the 21st Drug Court Incorporated, revenue to come from designated fund balance. Commissioner Hancock?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Little, the second. Law Enforcement Committee?
6 in favor, 0 against.
Budget Committee?
4-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
The best I can tell, this is $144.87, and I think it's come from a 501. So it must have been a donation, nonprofit corporation,
Okay.
treatment of drug offenders. Won't treat them anyway.
Any questions? I see none. If you're in favor of 91314, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 91315, resolution appropriating $38,239.99 to the 21st Drug Court Incorporated, revenue to come from dedicated account. Commissioner Hancock?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Dwight Jones, the second. Law Enforcement Committee?
6 in favor, 0 against.
Budget Committee?
4-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is funds that have been, fees that have been collected and for use as a drug court treatment program for the amount of $38,239.99. Drugs court reserve balance is where the revenues are coming from.
All right.
Be spent in the DUI court incorporated.
Okay. Commissioner Ford?
I'm sorry, I had a request to speak instead of yes on the last one.
Oh, okay. All right. No problem. Any questions? I see none. If you're in favor of Resolution 91315, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote. Ms. Anderson?
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 91316, resolution appropriating $51,850.47 to the 21st Drug Court Incorporated, revenues to come from DUI fines. Commissioner Hancock?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Wilson, the second. Budget Committee?
4-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
The law enforcement, 6 in favor, 0 against. This again is, it comes from mandatory minimum fees imposed on DUI of $100, and it is going to the drug treatment, 21st Drug Court Incorporated, $51,850.47. So again, we're letting the fees pay for to help these folks.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Hancock. Any discussion? I see none. If you're in favor of 91316, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 91317, resolution appropriating and amending the 2013-14 county general budget by $86,903.75, revenues to come from victim assessment fees. Commissioner Hancock?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Little, the second. Law Enforcement Committee?
6 in favor, 0 against.
Budget Committee?
4-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
This goes to the Victims Crime Assistance Program, and the revenues come from the $45 on behalf of existing program established to assist
victims of crime. So again, we're letting fees of the court pay for, to help these victims. $86,903.75. Commissioner Danner?
I think I'm just looking at a typo. The amount in the agenda is 89,000.
I saw that.
Okay, but it's, the resolution's correct, it's 86,000. Is that right? Okay.
All right. Did you get that, Jeff? Commissioner, I think the 86 is correct, but I'll yield to the.
Resolution is correct.
Okay.
Resolution is correct.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Commissioner Ryan?
Same point, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I see none. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of 9/13/17, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Okay. Commissioner Jones?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have Resolution 9/13/21 in regards to Fairview, and I'd like to request, since the mayor's here, to move this up at this time instead of keeping them through the rest of the business here.
Okay. Any objections to that? I see none. So it's under other, right? So is
Yes.
this it? This is not it, is it?
Bottom of the page.
Oh, okay. All right. So we'll now hear Resolution 9/13/21. Okay. Yeah, resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute an addendum to the interlocal agreement with the City of Fairview concerning use of funds received by the City of Fairview from the adequate school facilities tax.
Second.
Proper motion and second. Tax Study Committee,
Tax Study Committee, I'm sorry, 4-0 against.
Education Committee,
7-4-0 against.
Budget Committee.
4-4-0 against.
All right. Explanation, Commissioner Hawkins.
This is basically moving some money from the adequate schools tax to allow the city of Fairview to use the money, I think on the order of $100,000 to improve their library. We're lucky to have Mayor Toddy here with us tonight. Mayor Toddy, if you'd like to speak to this.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Beverly Toddy for the City of Fairview Mayor, and I'm honored to be here with you and see how y'all do the business at the county. Yes, sir, you're correct. It is a opportunity for us to amend the interlocal agreement and be able to work with the school facility tax funds and to work in a partnership with the county as we move forward, hopefully, in looking at a proposed expansion to the Fairview Library.
All right.
Thank you.
I'd like to recognize Commissioner Patty Carroll from Fairview too. Commissioner Carroll, if you want to come up, you can too. Also, so.
Thank you for considering that.
All right. Any other discussion? I see none. If you're in favor of Resolution 9/13/21, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Mayor Toddy, I know you're welcome to stay if you would like, but you're also, it's appropriate if you want to leave too. It's on TV, so you can go home and watch. So 22, are we back in order? Okay. Resolution 9/13/22, resolution requesting approval of an intent to fund $15,410,000 for projects on the 2012, 2013, and 2013, 2014 capital outlay plan. Commissioner Langston?
Move approval. Second.
Commissioner Williams, the second. School Board, 12 yes, 0 no. Education Committee,
7-4, 0 against.
Budget Committee,
4-4, 0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Langston.
Yes, this is a resolution that is asking for funding for the new Northeast School Complex for the element, or actually K through 8, and then the high school program, and it's asking for this $9 million to be used for hiring of architects and other things to get the building started.
Okay.
And then the remaining portion would be used for improvements in the existing schools that we have, repairing of roofs, asphalt, and other projects.
All right. Commissioner Jones, Ricky Jones?
Yes. I guess, Jason, I guess I'll ask you, on the concession stands, can you tell me where those are located?
The new proposed concession stands are actually going to be the second wave of concession stands that we're proposing to be constructed. We intend to put one at Centennial near the softball, baseball field. Let's see, one additional one at Independence, one at Franklin. It's actually going to be a storage area, and then one at Page. The current construction includes one at Fairview, one at Ravenwood, one at Independence, and one at Centennial.
Okay, and then a follow-up. On the auditoriums, the 1,200,000, is that the construction of the auditoriums that we approved last year? And are we needing that, or is that something else?
That is a request for additional funding for the high school auditoriums, the Centennial and Brentwood High School auditoriums, due to anticipated additional expense beyond what was originally funded.
Do we know what those additional?
Yeah, we have a number of things. It varies just slightly. There's 700 towards Centennial, 500 towards Brentwood. The larger numbers are related to the materials that our soil studies have found. Of course, we did design with the money that we were funded with, and the Centennial footings are actually going to have to be larger and wider than originally anticipated, and we're going to have to replace some of the fill in that area because of the fill that was placed there as a result of that originally being a phosphate mine many years ago. There's some related issues to Brentwood there. Centennial's cost related to that are estimated at between $225 and $300. Brentwood's is about $150 for the soils conditions that were not anticipated. And then that's the soils, additional $75,000 anticipated for foundation work at Centennial. The seismic conditions are a little specialized at Centennial, and that was something else that was not anticipated. That's going to cost about $100,000 more, according to our architects. And then the main additional cost at Brentwood are related to having to relocate utilities, fire, water, loop line, and stormwater drainage to comply with some of the city codes.
Okay, so all the others that were approved, we won't have any other delays with those, like at the Fairview Middle or any of those?
That's correct. We don't
Okay.
anticipate anything related to that at the middle schools. We actually have had some of the bids come in on those, and they are very tight, but within those budgets that we place for the middle schools.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Commissioner Dwight Jones?
Jason, do you happen to know by chance when we're gonna get started on the extra auditorium?
The middle school auditorium, that you're talking?
Yeah, I'm fielding a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, the Fairview Middle School auditorium is going to bid in October. We anticipate, Kevin Fording told me, 270 construction days for that. So we anticipate that it's going to be opening, right near the fall of the next school year.
Basically saying groundbreaking
Groundbreaking would
November,
probably
December?
be I'm ballparking early November.
Okay.
I
Commissioner
shouldn't
Ryan?
use the phrase ballpark when I talk about theaters, but.
Commissioner Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make a motion to amend this resolution, taking into consideration some of the large numbers that this commission will be voting on tonight. I'd like to make a motion to amend this total from the $15,410,000 to $12,515,000. Of course, it is at the full discretion and wisdom of our elected school board, but in my mind, it would fully fund the developmental plans for the Northeast High School and K-8 complex, the Centennial and Brentwood High Schools auditorium multipurpose, and also the roof replacements.
Proper motion, is there a second? Commissioner Danner is the second. You going to speak to the amendment? Okay, Commissioner Danner?
I just want to make it clear that I support your amendment, Commissioner Ryan, but that the difference between the 12,515 and the 15 that was originally requested, the 15,400, it's not that those extra items would not get done. We are just saying that that is what we're willing to go purchase bonds for. If the school board decides to, whatever, it's in their discretion of what they use it for, but it would just come out of the school's budget and not, we wouldn't just be borrowing bonds for those extra items, correct?
That is correct. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the amendment? Commissioner Langston?
Yes, I would just like to speak to that. We had that amendment at our Education Committee meeting. It was not approved. It was the feeling of the committee that we needed to move forward with all of these projects and the monies that was requested at that time.
All right. Any other questions? If I may ask a question to Commissioner Ryan, without adding all this up, kind of what's your feeling that, what are you cutting out?
In my mind, Mr. Chairman, that would be for the schools to take out of their own. Again, it's at the discretion of the school board, but they could, underneath the amendment, it would fully fund the plans, the multipurpose rooms at the two high schools, Brentwood and Centennial, and the roof replacements. However, it would put on hold in terms of taking out additional debt from the concession stands at $750,000, the repairs to the track at $50,000, and then asphalt repairs at $2,095,000. That could be considered by this commission at a later time, or if the school board deemed it necessary, they could take it out of their own budget at that time.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Fund balance, excuse me.
On the amendment? I see none. You ready to vote on the amendment? You have it loaded, Linda? If you're in favor of the amendment, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. All right. If you're in favor, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
3 yes, 20 no.
The motion amendment fails. Back to the main resolution. Any discussion on the main resolution as presented? I see none. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of 9/13/22 as presented, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
22 yes, 1 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 9/13/23, resolution amending the 2013-2014 Highway Department budget and appropriate up to $100,000 for a purchase of a long arm bush hog. Commissioner Hancock? Commissioner Green, the second. Highway Commission, 440 again. Highway Commission, 540 against. Budget Committee,
440 against.
explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the bush hog that they've been using, the long arm bush hog, is 19 years old, and anyone that's familiar with a bush hog, if you can use one for 19 years, you've gotten just about all the service out of it, so they need another one to keep the roads safe so you can see around curves and what have you. It does a real good job.
All right. Any discussion? I see none. If you're in favor of 9/13/23, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 9/13/25, resolution appropriating and amending the 2013-14 Health Department budget by $42,336 for medical personnel, revenues to come from unappropriated county general funds received through state of Tennessee. That's Commissioner Bethard.
I'm going to do that.
Commissioner Hancock.
Move for approval.
Commissioner Wilson, the second. Public Health Committee.
4 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Budget Committee.
440 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is grant money that is coming, as I understand it, from the state, and it's for additional dental services and personnel.
Okay.
$42,336. There's no tax money included there, straight money from the state.
Any discussion? I see none. If you're in favor of 9/13/25, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 9/13/26, resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute a grant contract with PetSmart Charities Incorporated on behalf of the Williamson County Animal Control and Adoption Center and appropriating and amending the 2013-14 Animal Control Department budget.
Move approval. Second.
Commissioner Hayes and Commissioner Herbert. Oh, who was second? Hayes and Herbert. Oh, okay, all right. Commissioner Hancock?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a donation from PetSmart Charities, and that it's no local money there. It's the donation money for the animal control for supplies and materials.
Okay.
And I think they specified exactly how they want the money spent.
All right, I got ahead of myself. Public Health Committee,
4 in favor, 0 against.
Budget Committee,
440 against.
any discussion? I see none. If you're ready to vote, if you're in favor of 9/13/26, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Take a recess. All right. Would y'all like to take a 10-minute recess? Oh, the resolution passes. So you want to take a break?
No.
We'll take about a 10-minute break.
Keep moving.
I've got nodding over here, keep moving over there.
I had it.
Okay, we'll reconvene, call us back to order. Moving on the agenda. Resolution 9/13/27, resolution of an intent to provide funds in an amount not to exceed $27.6 million for the construction of various public safety facilities in Williamson County. Commissioner Hancock?
Move for approval as amended.
Commissioner Wilson, the second. Let's see, Law Enforcement Committee?
4 in favor of, 0 against.
Public Health Committee? John, I think that's you.
Yeah, it was 4 in favor of, 0 against. The other one was 6 in favor of. I'm sorry. I got them mixed up.
Okay, all right. Yeah, on the resolution, it has 4-4-2 against, John. On the Law Enforcement Committee?
That was the Property Committee, yeah.
Okay. Property Committee, 4.
Property Committee was 4-4 and 2 against.
Budget Committee?
4-0 against. Point of order, they said it's amended. I don't think it's been amended yet.
Right.
But it was amended in public health to lower the $2 million?
Yes.
The resolutions.
That was the one that,
Is for 27.6 million.
Right, and we need to amend it to reduce it by $2 million because the Downs Boulevard facility is still under negotiations with TVA, and
Okay.
it's not needed at this time, so that figure would be lowered down to 25 million and change.
All right, proper motion. Do I have a second? Second. Commissioner Bain, the second. Any discussion on the amendment?
no, and that's the way the Health Committee passed it as amended, 2 million, but
Okay,
that's fine.
all right. Commissioner, you're not on the amendment? Yeah, okay. Commissioner Green?
In the committee, the Public Health Committee, we amended it $2 million, and we also passed the resolution doing both A and B simultaneously rather than A and then B separately.
Okay.
And also eliminated $2 million from the cost. The $2 million we eliminated was not the school or the fire hall, it was just $2 million.
Okay,
Because we're doing both of them consecutively.
all right.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that tracks the same way that the Budget Committee did. I think, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Well,
That
how
2
many
million.
amendments do we need? Because that's not the same amendment, but it's the same amount.
Right.
Same amount, not the same. Yes.
Well, we've got an amendment and a second. Any discussion on the amendment?
Which amendment?
Yours.
Your amendment. To be known as the Williams Amendment.
Williamson.
Who's on
Okay.
first, John?
Mr. Chairman and Commission members, the reason you've got a lot of these different conversations, as many of you know, and Commissioner Williams, all of you are correct in your own way. Let me try to explain where we are on these public safety funding. As many of you know, one of the elements of this was taking one of the corner on the east side of Downs Boulevard. That would be the old soccer field, which was a parking lot. So as we were going through that process of trying to utilize this long-term agreement that we have with TVA, it was discovered way back 15 or 20 years ago when we did the long-term agreement that the agreement only allowed us to have and use the facility for recreation on the east side, which was the old soccer field, the parking lot on the same side as the Robert Ring Indoor Soccer Complex. On the other side of Downs Boulevard, when we were able to get the long-term agreement with TVA on that one, we used the term recreation and government uses. So we added the word government uses on the newer side, and then the older side, we did not use that. So we could not legally use that piece of land without prior approval from TVA. We have written letters to TVA. We have been in communication with TVA. There is no way possible we could have had all of this done to look at what you're doing tonight. For this is an intent to fund, all of these funds are an intent to fund, and we could not have that back even by next month in October. So the $2 million that you're talking about was pulled from that. We're still going through with the processes of trying to negotiate with TVA and run that up the flagpole up to their higher change, but we have been told it takes somewhere between 4 and 6 months, and that's a objective figure, so we pull that off. The project itself to provide the ambulance and the temporary for the fire station at the Downs Boulevard has not gone away. Now, we are also looking at some other locations, but whichever comes first, that land at the TVA side, if we can get that under the verbiage the TVA will allow us to have it under the verbiage of government, or if we find another site, you'll see this coming back. So those folks that are sitting in the audience, that was a decision we made. Let's don't ask for something until we know we can use it. That help it, Jack?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Herbert on the amendment?
Yeah, on the amendment, can you hear me? Okay, on the amendment, it says to 25.6 million. Shouldn't that be 25.3 million?
25.342119.
Yeah, it's 27.6 million, and they're taking 2 million out of it, so.
Yeah, but if you add up the amount of the projects,
The,
it's,
the heading includes the closing costs. These are the actual project costs within the body.
oh, okay, thank you.
Right.
We're taking
It-
2 million off the heading. So we'll have the closing costs. So the 25.6 would be correct.
25.6.
Yeah. Any other questions on the amendment? I see none. You ready to vote on the amendment? Ashley, you got it loaded? Be in favor of the amendment on 9/13/27, and the amendment is to reduce the 27.6 million by $2 million down to 25.6. If you're in favor, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
22 yes, 1 no.
The amendment passes. Now we're back to Resolution 9/13/27 as amended. Commissioner Danner on the resolution?
2 points. One is, who were the no votes on both the law enforcement and the property committees? There were 4 no votes. I'm curious to know who they were.
I was a no on property.
One on each.
All right. And then I just would like to, for the record, thank our department, Bill and Mac, for everything they do for us. I truly feel safer for the work that you do. However, because of the timing of this request and the price tag, I'm not going to be able to support it tonight.
Mr. Chairman, can I address?
Yes.
I think the sheriff wants to address this resolution.
Sheriff, would you like to speak to this?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, thank you for just a second. I'm going to be very, very brief. Many of you have asked me, when you've seen me, my ideas on some of this, and I wanted to address it with you real quick tonight. I think, first of all, I need to disclose to you that I was honored, I guess, to be the first Emergency Management Agency Director of Williamson County. Many of you may not know this, and this was based off the Waverly train disaster, if you remember that. At that time, we had no coordination of emergency efforts. or had any planning whatsoever going on in Williamson County. And many of us responded to the Waverly train disaster that night. And we realized right then, we better act, and we better act quick, because that could happen in Williamson County at any time, or a disaster could happen, and we wouldn't know anything about the response. So we based our EMA off of that, and it's progressed to where it is today, and I'm very, very proud of where Bill and them and Mac and the rest of them have it today. Also, I think I need to disclose to you that while I was with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, I was the representative sitting at the table for TBI in the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency Reaction Center. It was a center much like you're sitting at tonight. It's so overwhelming to me how actually it looks like this chamber, but it's a lot bigger. And every agency from the state had a seat in that facility. And we were the designees for our agencies to coordinate disasters. And I guess the best thing I learned out of that was it is much, much easier and much, much more convenient for the citizens of the state if I have my counterpart sitting beside me or in the same room with me or sitting over here, rather than having to go look him up on the telephone and try to find out what his agency can do or what his agency cannot do. That is the importance to me of this new facility, is having all of the agency heads and the representatives in one room when we have our disaster. Not if we have our disaster, but when we have our disaster. And to be able to respond to that and to respond to it as the citizens of this community, I think, demand for us to do. You've heard a lot tonight about the need for the facility, and you've heard about the growth projections. Since Tuesday at the Budget Committee, I have given quite a bit of thought to this. And I'm going to try to keep this brief, but I think I'm trying to do it in a pragmatic view to you that hopefully you have not heard. We like the small town and the small county feel of Williamson County. Everybody likes that, and everybody that lives here says that's why they live here, because we retain that small atmosphere, small county feel and everything. However, you've heard the growth projections. I've even heard one of the projections is within several years, we will overcome Chattanooga, Hamilton County. If that's right, we will be the 4th largest county in the state. With that realization of those large metropolitan problems are going to come, and issues are going to come, and worries are going to come. They're coming now. You know, we are a metropolitan area, whether we want to admit it or not. I love the small town feel, but as your sheriff, I have to be prepared for all of Williamson County. I have to be prepared for the Cool Springs area. I have to be prepared for the Brentwood area. I have to be prepared for the Burwood area, the Leapers Fork and Hillsborough area. You know, we are now a major player in the state of Tennessee. Other counties look to us to lead, and lead by example, and that's what we've done up until this point. I think the main thing that hit me since Tuesday after I got to thinking about this is that we have worldwide companies now in Williamson County. I would have never thought that 10 or 15 years ago. Never thought we'd grow to that point. Never thought that we would have a vibrant community like the Cool Springs area of major national companies that are nationwide and even worldwide Nissan. We have a responsibility, should the event of a disaster, to be able to carry on the necessary services that are needed in the event of that emergency. As you've heard tonight, I worry every night in the tornado area, especially the season of tornadoes, about when one's going to hit. I have watched them go over my office. I watched one this year go over my office that landed in Rutherford County. That's how close it came to us. If that had hit our current 911 center, what would we have done? We would have been without dispatch. We would have been without dispatch for ambulances through emergency medical services. We would have been without dispatch for emergency management. We would have been without dispatch for fire and rescue. We would have been without dispatch for Nolensville Police Department. We would have been without dispatch for Fairview Police Department and for your sheriff's office. What would we have done if it had destroyed our facility? You've heard, I think it was Mr. Fureborn tonight talk about the Alabama situation, of how in chaos they were for 2 or 3 days after the Tuscaloosa tornadoes. Can we wait? Can we wait any longer? I asked for a few figures just to give you an idea. I don't know that anybody has actually told you about the 911 center and the amount of volume that they do. So I've asked just to give me an average of the number of calls that go through there a day. And they tell me there's an average of 80 911 calls every day. And that's just 911. That's not the non-emergency line where most of the calls come in from. There are also approximately 1,601 CAD events each day. A CAD event is where one of my deputies is either dispatched to an event, an ambulance is dispatched to an event, a rescue squad vehicle is dispatched, a fire truck is dispatched, or one of the other agencies are dispatched, or answering some type of call or event. That don't mean the ones that we answer on our own. That's 1,601 a day. So in the day of the disaster, how are we going to coordinate those calls? How are we going to respond to that person who is having a heart attack, and we could save that life if we don't have a facility to take care of the needs that we're going to have in the event of our emergency when we have it? I understand the financial part. You know, and I hope respect, I don't come up here and ask for money that the sheriff's office doesn't need. I have not done that. I have promised you that I would not come up and ask for things just as a wish list. I'm pretty conservative on what that is. I know this is a big, big decision based upon the financial request. But I also know that we're at a point where we're got to answer these calls. We've got to respond to the disasters. And whether we want to accept it or not, we are a major metropolitan area that is responsible for worldwide services, nationwide services, and other large, large companies that have really, since Tuesday, I have gotten to think about this and the responsibility to respond to those establishments as well as a private citizen who I have to be responsible for is pretty overwhelming, pretty overwhelming. I know you have a important task to consider tonight. I just hope that I've given you some input that maybe you've not had the opportunity to consider and to know that when that event comes. We at the Sheriff's Office, along with other law enforcement agencies, are doing response plans every day. I have 2 people that are writing response plans to emergencies, and that's their full-time job until we get those response plans done. That's how important I think it is to plan for our disaster. And I think this is another process in the planning for our disaster when it comes. Thank you for giving me the time to speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Commissioner Jones, Dwight Jones?
I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Hester?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not only do we live fairly close to the New Madrid fault, but during my years here, I've experienced the flood and flooding and more and more tornadoes. Tornadoes went over my daughter's school in her senior year. And then she experienced tornadoes later on. I understand that this building is reinforced for tornadoes. I don't know whether you can be flood-proof or not. And I've even checked on the ventilation system would accommodate poisonous gases because certain items could be closed off if there were poisonous gases that were released into our atmosphere. And I lived in Memphis, Tennessee when Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated. Emergency response there, the phone system was out, and if you were in a certain elevation, you could see the city actually burning. I am for emergency responders. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Chalfant?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had initially voted against this. I have had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Purdy and Mr. Jorgensen, who took the time to explain in detail. I've changed my vote.
Okay. Commissioner Wilson?
Yes. Having grown up here and watched growth,
When you look at the monies on here, do you think that that might be equivalent to a new school? I think that the investment that we're making in this facility, which I signed on to, I think it's very important because not only are the major corporations coming here, but I think when they move here, they expect us to have a readiness program. And we've done the resource officers for our schools, but I don't think we've taken care of our citizens countywide on this particular, this particular area. And I am very in favor of this and ask that you might consider a yes.
Commissioner Danner?
I have a question for the sheriff. Just for a point of clarity and so that there's not just mass panic, didn't we last commission meeting vote and approve an interlocal agreement with either with Brentwood or Franklin that if our 911 service goes down that they will back us up?
For a period of time, yes.
So, okay, I just wanted to make sure people knew if a tornado hit this building, we're not all the 911 calls are not going to suddenly not get answered. We have agreements with the municipalities to back us up.
Yes.
Okay.
However, if they're monitoring our channel and if they have the personnel at that center to answer their calls and in addition to our calls, yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Just a point of clarification, Commissioner Green in their amendment, we're talking about Phase A and Phase B when we vote on this.
Our amendment was to do Phase A and B at the same time, because the discussions I had and asked Mr. Jurgensen, what happens when we breach the original buildings and put on the Phase B, that kind of inhibited the function of the center. So we voted to do Phase A and Phase B and reduce it by $2 million. And that was what our vote was in the.
Which I think the
public
whole resolution in its entirety includes Phase 1 and Phase 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Follow up, Commissioner Williams?
No, it's good.
Commissioner Brockman?
Thank you. That leads into my point, is that the reason I couldn't support it in the committee, one of the reasons was I didn't think that the design team, not our local officials, but explained the Phase 1 and Phase 2, and I made an amendment to take out Phase 2, thinking that what we really needed was just Phase 1. Phase 2 seemed to be in the future. But after discussion, I now understand that it's actually an integral part. I still am not exactly sure why it was separated, but perhaps you could maybe just make a brief point of that, Mr. Jurgensen, just so that we'll know this is not something that we could do in the future, that it's necessary now.
Okay, I'd be glad to answer
Okay.
that question. Phase 1A and Phase 1B it was originally thought, we wanted to give you some funding options as we went down the road. And as we worked with the architects, and it's like we got too far and decided that, and we couldn't go back and just say, we're only going to do one phase, and it included 1A and 1B. We had to go forward with 1A and 1B. And we found out it did not make sense to do them separately. Matter of fact, it would cost $1 million extra to do them separately, and including breaching the wall, and we would have to move out the 911 center temporarily so that we could add on to the building to do 1B. We just got too far ahead and we couldn't go back and just make it one phase. Or we would just be presenting one phase, and it would include 1A and 1B.
So in your mind, it really is one, even though it's separated, in your mind, it's one center needed now, all of the facilities that are drawn
Correct.
out.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ford?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think there's any doubt anybody who's been through the facility that we
needs some extra space and needs some upgrades on that. Question is how big, how much can we afford, and when? And anybody that votes no on this, I think, is voting primarily around the financials of the project, not on the necessity of the project. And given that, I'd like to ask Nina a question, if I might. Sorry, Nina, if you'd come up here. Nina, thank you for this debt book that you gave us earlier tonight. It's very helpful. I think when you were asked earlier about what the total outstanding for the debt of the county, you answered 436 million.
462.
Oh, 462, you were including all the enterprise funds.
Right.
And that's as of 6/30/13, so this year. We also in our figures have 6/30/2012 that you've given us, and that I believe is 486,000. So can I take that to mean we've paid off 24 million in principal and debt in the past year?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so then we also have the appraised property value, and if I'm reading these figures right, the appraised property value in our county has gone up almost $500 million in the past year.
That's right.
So that's lowered our debt ratio by about 11 points in the past year. Am I reading all that right?
That's right.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Were these kind of cooperating agreements with our other law enforcement? Was that those things considered? I mean, you know, Franklin just has got this beautiful new facility right down the road, and they've got a lot of square footage there. And I mean, were partnerships with our brother and sisters in Franklin and Brentwood, were those considered
Yes.
in all this?
Yes, sir. We have spoken with Brentwood and Franklin, and if you're referring, we even looked at moving into Franklin and seeing if we could do that for a while. But we've determined that is not a adequate facility to meet our needs. We've also communicated with them about joining us in this facility. But as you've made note, they've just recently spent quite a bit of money on that facility. And Brentwood just invested close to $2 million on their 911 center. Now, neither one of those facilities would meet our current needs. But we have, and we will continue, we meet with them monthly, and we communicate about doing more work together and more efficiently.
Okay. Commissioner Hayes?
First, I just want to say amen to the sheriff's statement. And the first thing that impressed me about this was the expertise and the integrity of the task force. In looking over the list of people who were asked to serve and who gave some 2 years, it was very evident that with our staff and the knowledge that we have locally with Bill and Mac and all the staff, that we bring in such people as Dave and Tom who have experienced just exactly what we're hoping to avoid, makes me feel very comfortable that we're doing the right thing. I also would say that we have worked hard to ensure the quality of life for the people of Williamson County. Part of that is the quality, so we get good schools, we get good extra things, but also is life. And I think we owe it to our citizens to make sure that we provide them safety in the good times as well as safety in the bad times. We have an opportunity here to plan for the future, to do something that will last and help protect our people and give a real core. I remember when things have not been so easy here and when we've had flooding. I remember the Waverly train wreck, and I remember all those things that could happen. Let's be prepared and be sure that we protect our citizens with a vote yes.
Commissioner Bain?
Yes, I had the good fortune to serve on this task force for a long time, and this is 2013. In 2010, 3 short years ago, there are 4, I can think of 4, major rivers in the county. We had the flooding in 2010. The police department and the fire department couldn't talk to each other. The Brentwood Police Department couldn't talk to the Franklin Fire Department. The Franklin Fire Department couldn't talk to the Fairview Police Department. We have come so far And Bill, I was so impressed by what the state has in their planning center and what the federal government in Nashville has here. Maybe you could mention a little of that. I was blown away with what they're doing.
As far as
Well,
the
where we stole Mac from.
Yeah, I was going to probably have to ask Mac to come up and talk about the state and the federal resources, because that is where he came from, if that's okay, Mr. Chairman. If,
Yeah,
to add on to Commissioner Baines.
I'm not known for it, but I'll be brief. The State Emergency Operations Center in Nashville off of Sidco Drive sits underneath the National Guard headquarters there. It's one of probably a half a dozen hardened facilities that were built kind of in the Cold War era that came out of that civil defense and in the birthplace of emergency management. There are other facilities that have been built that we get to go visit. Some of those, like Hamilton County, still lies in their greatest threat area. They were able to go in and do something, and as we took a tour of a great facility in Chattanooga, they are still vulnerable to their greatest threat of flooding, sitting right there in Chattanooga. And so one of the things we're committed to is making sure that our facility meets those threat standards. And as we looked around, this is kind of what lies before us and the need for the community.
Thank you. Commissioner Hancock?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, when this body when there was a first body, way back when they paid their taxes with squirrel pelts, the primary responsibility for government was to protect their citizens, to provide for protection for their citizens. Everything else was secondary. And here we are, 200 years later, talking about all kinds of things, but we need to remember our basic responsibility. We sat in to talk about the federal government not doing their job. We need to do ours. And you know, if you can't stand the fire, you need to get out of the kitchen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Cook?
Mr. Purdy to come back up, because I've been having questions from people saying, we don't have very many tornadoes here, or it's only Fairview, who unbelievably has been hit quite a few times. Could you tell them, because I know I had asked you before, how many different tornadoes we had, and then they'll say, well, they were only little ones. But on December 24th in 1988, a F4 came through, and it did a lot of damage in Brentwood, but it also did a lot of damage someplace else. But you also have to think that there wasn't the Cool Springs Mall. There weren't a lot of other things. So it could have really been a gigantic disaster. And I want you to tell primarily the public how many tornadoes have been in this county.
Yes, thank you. You know, in looking at our numbers, we went back, and there's almost an annual tornado event in Williamson County. There is a little bit of a gap over the last few years, and then last January or February in one day, we had 3 different tornado events, F0 and F1. They were small. They were not small if you were in the cars that were flipped over in Jim Warren Park, or if you lived in the trailer whose house fell on, the tree fell on. You know, I think likelihood of events and the events that have happened across Middle Tennessee, the F4s and the F5s, those larger scale tornadoes, are just one of those array of hazards that we face. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Joplin, Missouri, the people on the coast. I remember sitting in a conference about a year to 18 months before Hurricane Katrina, talking about catastrophic response planning as something that, as an emergency management community, we needed to focus on, because we don't know really how to plan for those events that overwhelm every facet of government. I got asked a question in one of our one-on-one meetings about the May floods, and every event when it happens to you is catastrophic. If my home burns down, that is catastrophic to me. that is just another house fire for the Franklin Fire Department. There are events that can be disasters or emergencies or catastrophic to our community, and that is what we're challenged to prepare for. The May floods, if they impacted you and this community, was the greatest disaster this community's faced, probably ever. And yet we didn't impact any of our major infrastructure. Our power stayed on, our lights stayed on. The roads were closed for kind of an inconvenience period of time. We didn't lose our water and sewer. We didn't lose our hospitals or our restaurants or our hotels. The goal of this facility is to answer those 911 calls at that point that the community needs it most, and to be able to coordinate the government's response, the community's response to our emergencies and disasters. I think one of the things that's been a realization to me is that the hazards are there and they don't go away. This is not a new need. The Public Safety Task Force of 5 years ago has been referenced, but this was a need before the Public Safety Task Force, and has been a 5-year at least journey to get to where it is today. The project's been vetted, and it's a need, and it is a great deal of money. But we believe that the need is right. We've brought in outside people to vet that with us. And Mr. Chairman, if I may take just a second to orient the group to something that Matt Largent, an email he sent today. You have it in front of you. It's just a few sentences, if I may read it into the record and finish. I would like to go on record as publicly support this very important project. These days, the most important consideration in economic development is risk minimization. Companies look to areas of the United States where risk is minimized. In Williamson County, we minimize workforce risk by having great schools. We minimize transportation risk by having great roads. And we minimize economic risk by maintaining a AAA bond rating, one of 2 counties in the state. The proposed 911 and Emergency Operations Center helps minimize risk associated with disasters, and more importantly, how we are able to respond to them as a county. There are very recent examples of how disaster preparedness and disaster response played a key role in economic development and site location decisions. The number one question I received in working with companies after the Nashville flood was, how did we respond, and how were businesses affected? Also, when Oric relocated their headquarters and manufacturing operations to Tennessee a few years ago, it was in direct response to Hurricane Katrina, and risk minimization drove that location decision from a workforce and a natural disaster standpoint. In this context, it is therefore critical that Williamson County has the facility and resources to appropriately respond to a disaster in the future, and why I support the proposed 911 and Emergency Operations Center. Matt Largent, President and CEO, Williamson County Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Commissioner Little?
Commissioner Ford pointed out, part of what I wanted to point out tonight also was, in last year's budget, ending 2013, we paid off $31 million in bonds, and we also issued some bond anticipation notes. In this year's, we will pay off almost $47.5 million in bonds. So even though we're adding more on, we are also constantly paying off debt, and that the net effect is not as drastic as it sounds, because we've paid off $70 million in bonds in the last 2 years. So I think that needs to be considered when we're adding bonds on, the fact that we are also paying off.
All right, thank you. I see no other further questions. Bill, if I can call on you for a second, you'd asked me to save time, that the president of Nissan was coming to speak in favor of this, and he's not able, well, who?
It was a different gentleman.
Oh.
But he was not able to make it.
But he,
I think Matt's letter, probably email, covered that area that he was going to talk about also, the economic impact to the businesses here in Williamson County.
okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You ready to vote? As amended, If you're in favor of Resolution 9/13/27 as amended, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
21 yes, 2 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 9/13/28, resolution of an intent to provide an amount of up to $30.3 million for the expansion of Williamson Medical Center. Commissioner Brockman? Commissioner Chalfant, the second. Williamson Medical Board of Trustees, I don't have that figure, but it was unanimous. It was unanimous. Yeah. Public Health Committee. Property Committee.
Property Committee was 5-4-1 against.
Budget Committee.
4-0 against.
Commissioner Brockman, do you want to explain this?
Well, I'd be happy for someone else to come up and address it if there are more detailed questions, but it's a resolution for the expansion, and it's the surgery suite, surgical support areas, dedicated pediatric emergency department, pediatric inpatient beds, and pediatric observation beds, and shell space for future needs. The entire project to be approximately $65 million. $30.3 million in new debt to be incurred, and Williamson Center will forward revenue sufficient to cover the annual debt service for $30.3 million of the new debt incurred to finance the project. So this will formulate something that the medical board has fully endorsed. So I hope you will support it.
All right. Any of the other sponsors want to speak to it?
Was there an amendment, a committee? No. Okay.
Nothing. I think so. All right, Commissioner Danner?
I want to thank the Hospital Board of Trustees for reducing the amount originally intended to be borrowed by the county from $65 million to $30.3 million. I'm still not going to support it because I don't believe that the county should be footing the bill for this or putting it on our credit card. I understand the hospital will pay the payments and the interest, but if for any reason they cannot, the taxpayers are on the hook. And so it's, while I have no issue with Vanderbilt or with the hospital, it's the funding that is a problem for me and I think for a lot of people. I do want to point out, do the Board of Trustees who sit on this commission, do they need to read their conflict of interest statement before they vote?
No, there's no direct or indirect financial conflict. They're not paid as board members.
Why did they have to read it then when they voted on declaring the hospital surplus?
The budget includes your compensation and your insurance. Board members do not receive any financial remuneration under the Private Act.
Could they raise their hands at least so people would know who sits on the Board of Trustees for the hospital? Just for the record. Okay.
Commissioner Barnwell?
Yes, as you all know, I'm not a big fan of us giving money to the hospital. Well, that's true, Mr. Chalfant, but you don't read the documents like I do. I've read the documents that I was provided by this hospital, and there's no evidence of any remuneration coming from Vanderbilt to pay the hospital back for all this free space. I think that's probably a violation of something because, I mean, you shouldn't be able to have free capital. Vanderbilt recognizes that this is not the time to expand. They shut down their own project, but it appears with the taxpayers on the hook for the funds, they think it's a good project. The interesting things in the CON that I found was that we don't staff 76 beds in the hospital we currently have, but we're going to build 12 more. Why? Why not give Vanderbilt Pediatrics a floor of the hospital that already exists? Why are we going to spend $65 million for a little tower? I do not, and all these contracts I was given, the interesting thing is none of them have been executed. This deal's been going on for 2 years, and Vanderbilt's just walking around with no contracts executed where they've got any commitment whatsoever to this county. And I think we need to reassess the Board of Trustees' decision-making capability, because to me, they're not representing the people they were appointed to represent, they're representing Vanderbilt. Thank you.
Commissioner Smith?
My only comment is that I am associated with Williamson Medical Center, but I intend to vote my conscience for the county and my constituents.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilson?
Yes, I don't know if I'm the one basically to speak on this, except that I am a Board of Trustee member. But my understanding is, Commissioner Barnwell, are you thinking there is a financial money exchange to go toward that tower? Or are you understanding that that is a loan of the Vanderbilt Children's Hospital, Monroe Carroll Children's Hospital? Now, the Monroe Carroll family had to approve this to be done at Williamson Medical Center. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but the family are the ones that are loaning that name out. They have never loaned that name out to anywhere else. And my understanding was that we are intricately working with Vanderbilt Hospital, but I'm probably not the legal person that should explain that. But I think you have a little misconception of the proper term of what we're using the tower for.
Well,
But that's just my feeling.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond to that?
Yes.
I personally have the Monroe Carroll name is, I don't think, part of this conversation. The hospital's getting ready to spend $65 million on something for a third party where there's no visible means of repayment by that third party for the use of the dollars being expended by Williamson Medical Center. And none of the documents I was given, is there any rent in there to pay for the capital investment we're making? Well, if you're so smart, Bert, please tell me where the revenue is going to come from to pay the bills.
Let's keep it civil. Commissioner Ford?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really want to support this project. However, there have been some very legitimate, in my mind, questions about the project, about Williamson Medical Center, about the relationship with Vanderbilt, both at the Budget Committee and this and in other committees. There's been some legitimate question, and the response I heard was that we're going to get that information before we vote on the final bond in October. Well, I mean, that's information that I'd like to have now. I don't see a representative from the hospital here as we're having those kind of conversations, so I'd like to support it, but I just can't without the answers coming in from the representatives of the hospital.
And I think they are scheduled to be here in October.
Yeah, I understand that. They're
Yeah.
supposed to be here in October, but we're asked that we intend to fund this, and I have a hard time intending to fund something. I mean, we had all these representatives here to represent the 911 center, and I appreciate the work they've done. We had the representatives from the schools representing their projects, and I would have loved for the people from the hospital to have been here to support and explain the project.
Commissioner Smith?
In response to that, and there's been a lot of questions and comments, the hospital was never in line to be prepared to present the project, the funding, the financials, any of those issues until October. And they will be doing that at the committee meetings and the commission meeting in October. The reason this preliminary resolution got onto the September agendas was to satisfy the public notice requirements for the bond issue. And so this is simply to start the clock ticking. And the hospital administration will be on hand at each of the committees in the month of October, as well as at the commission, to provide you the kind of explanation that you've gotten from Bill and his group.
Yeah, and
And all these questions will be answered, and all the information about the project will be provided during that time.
And with additional information, perhaps we can reconsider, so thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Hayes?
To make a presentation or speak.
Well, let's see, I'm
I've just
sorry.
twisted his arm.
Oh, that's right. Was she right? Did I jump the gun? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure, Judy, what else I can add. Commissioner Smith did indicate that it will be, the architect will be here, the CEO will be here, the CFO, try to address some of those questions. The contracts, you might get Jeff, who works as the legal counsel for the hospital too, Jack, to address some of those questions that Commissioner Barnwell may have. But all of these people will be here, just like this group has been here at the October County Commission meeting, and I can say that to you, Commissioner Ford. But if it's some of those legal questions, Jeff could certainly handle them. He deals with them day in and day out.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Dwight Jones?
And Jeff, you might can help me on this too, or whoever can help me, that's fine. I'm kind of almost like Commissioner Ford. I would like somebody to explain, Vanderbilt has currently laid off doctors. They've shut down researching. Yeah, they have. Y'all can shake your head no or not. I know people that don't work there no more. So, I mean, my concern is, I'm not against the hospital at all. I've never voted to sell it. I think it's a great asset. My concern is timing right to add on to it? Or, you know, if Vanderbilt's downsizing, you know, it's a lot of money for basically 13 beds. I understand hospitals cost a lot of money, so I mean, that makes sense to me, but I'm just, I mean, whoever can help me, I'm not.
But, and let me interject here, because I've heard this several times, it's more than 13 beds. It's surgical suites, it's future expansion and all that. So it's not just adding 13 beds. So, no, and no apology necessary. I just want to get that out there. So,
The only thing I would state is that there seems to be, at least implied in some of the comments, that Vanderbilt will own the pediatric hospital. In fact, Vanderbilt will not have an ownership interest in the pediatric hospital or any of the expansion, and their only contractual arrangement at this point would be to provide professional services in the form of pediatric physicians and nurses. We will keep all the revenue from the services. They will be paid on a fair market value under a PSA, but they won't have any ownership interest in the tower or in the service as provided.
And the fund balance.
The hospital will receive all the revenue from the services provided.
Where's that in writing? It's not in any of the documents you provided me.
There is no document that gives Vanderbilt any right to any of the revenues of this service. I can't provide you a document that does not exist. That's the way it has been proposed, and there will be a PSA at some point in the future for the physicians and nurses providing professional services, but the hospital is actually the hospital. Williamson Medical Center will own the pediatric hospital totally and is licensing the name Monroe Carroll as such. It's the only license outside of Nashville. But there is no ownership interest in this tower or in this service of the hospital with Vanderbilt or any other third party.
Commissioner Williams?
Mr. Chairman, it appears to me, and based upon what Commissioner Smith said, basically this is merely to get the clock ticking, and all these questions can be put to the hospital people when they're here in October, and this commission can either vote it up or vote it down at that stage of the time. But if they vote it up, then the clock has been ticking, it can go on the bond market. If they vote it down, it's dead.
Commissioner Hawkins?
I know I'm talking a lot tonight, for me anyway. I'm confident that the hospital board's not going to try to steer the hospital off the cliff. I'm sure that's not the intention, and probably somewhere in the backs of their minds is the idea of making a profit over there. And the idea to me of a children's center is actually positive. That's my initial response to that, is great. More good care closer to home for Williamson Countyans. But it is a little bit of a pig in a sack, the way we're voting for it, and would be nice to know a little more. My understanding is we can still say no to this, and so that's an important point. If you vote it up tonight, you can still say no. But I'd like to see more.
Thank you. Commissioner Danner?
I was going to reserve this for October, but since Jeff is here, I'll ask you as the attorney for the hospital or as the attorney for the county, either one. I've been getting questions. You just mentioned the physicians would be Vanderbilt physicians, pediatric physicians. Will they be moving up from the Nashville Pediatric Hospital, or will we just be taking our same doctors and calling them Vanderbilt doctors?
No. And again, we don't have all the final details. The proposal as currently out there is for a professional services agreement for Vanderbilt to provide the pediatric physicians. Our current pediatricians would not be staffing. These would be physicians employed by and on the faculty of Vanderbilt.
Commissioner Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And before Commissioner Williams calls to question, I was trying to push that button as quickly as I could. Simple question for Jeff, and I'm a businessman. Vanderbilt is in business. Let's not kid ourselves. What's in this for Vanderbilt? If the hospital's making all the money, Williamson Medical Center is making all the money. They're not doing this out of the goodness of their heart. What's in it for Vanderbilt?
And I can address as proposed, and that is there are several things. First, Vanderbilt is out of space for expansion of the Children's Hospital in Nashville. They have no more ground. They have additional training needs for pediatric residents and for their pediatric services. So this is, in their mind, a logical place to provide those services. The second part of it is that Vanderbilt, as you may or may not have heard, also is developing a clinically integrated network in the Middle Tennessee, actually into Kentucky and Mississippi in some cases, a clinically integrated network that will be, that Williamson Medical Center is affiliated in. One of the potentials for this is the prioritization of cases to where the more complicated pediatric cases will be handled downtown and the simpler cases will be handled here to provide the resources or to allocate the resources between the two campuses more appropriately, keeping Williamson County pediatric patients in Williamson County unless it reaches a level of acuity that would cause it to go to the downtown site. So it's really an allocation of resources from the Vanderbilt. That is not to say they're not going to cover their costs through the PSA. They're not going into this and losing money, I'm sure. But the point is they're not getting any of the revenue that'll be generated from the service.
And follow up, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
All right.
Has there been any discussions with Vanderbilt in regards to any donations to assist with the construction costs? And if not, why not?
There have been discussions on the fundraising side for the hospital and the use of the Monroe Carroll name for fundraising. There has been no discussion that I'm aware of for direct financial contribution from Vanderbilt for the construction costs of a county-owned building on county property.
Thank you.
Commissioner Langston?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the Budget and Finance Committee meeting, I had several questions regarding this issue, questions that I felt concerned about at the time, and basically centered around the fact that I had voted to make sure that Williamson County Medical Center was independent and that it was not going to be taken over by any other group. And I saw, and I began to look and see that Vanderbilt was getting a greater interest here in Williamson County. But the questions I asked in regard to that issue was answered firmly. That Williamson County remains in control of this. We are using the name. There's no financial commitment to Vanderbilt in any way. And for those reasons and the answers that I got, I will support this resolution.
Commissioner Davis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I intend to support this as well, but I have a procedural question, probably for Jeff.
No, just turn your button on.
Down at the bottom, at the base.
On now?
Yeah.
I have a procedural question that's probably best addressed to Jeff. We have a lot of issues and a lot of questions going on here tonight, and the people with the best answers, other than the people on the commission, aren't here. But we're doing this so there's a public notice. We're debating this in public, it's been through committees. If we don't vote on this tonight and put the whole thing off till October, we're not gonna go to bond anyway till after that October vote. Will this satisfy the public notice requirement, just that it was aired publicly and it was on the agenda, even if there was no vote?
The answer to that probably would better lie with bond counsel and not me, because that is the technicality that we're trying to address. My understanding is that we needed the intent to meet the timing on that bond issue, and it is going to be wrapped into the bigger bond issue in order to receive the best rate. That September we needed the initial, but I would defer to the mayor if I'm not saying that correctly. I'm trying to keep you awake, Rogers.
Exactly it.
So we do need a vote, is what?
We do need a vote, because we have to let bond council know, we have to put this in the paper, we have to advertise, and I think it was Doug that made the comment, somebody made the comment over here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you all don't want this project come October, vote it down. It's that simple. All you're doing here is the intent. We are intending, we've done this for school projects, we've done it for everything. I'm not encouraging you to do anything to support it, except for the fact you're voting so we can start the advertising, the clock starts ticking. That will come back to you in October. This is nothing different than we've done before.
Thank you.
But it does need a vote.
Commissioner Bain?
Call the question.
Thank you, Ernie.
Question's been called. All in favor of calling the question, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, you ready to vote? If you're in favor of 9/13/28, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
19 yes, 4 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 9/13/29, an initial resolution authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $62 million general obligation bonds of Williamson County, Tennessee. Commissioner Williams? Did Budget Committee?
4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Williams.
Mr. Chairman, I need to move to amend this to reduce it down to $60 million. That would be relating to that $2 million that was coming off of the previous resolution. What this is the total, what we've all been talking about is the total bond package that's going to bond market if it's all approved. If one thing's not approved, then the next thing it won't be this amount. But it includes the Williamson County Hospital District, the Medical Center, County Public and Safety Emergency Facilities, which the 911 Center we've had talked about, County Landfill and Academy Park, acquisition of real property and personal appurtenant to the foregoing, payment of engineering, legal, physical, and administrative costs incident to the foregoing, reimbursement to the appropriate fund of the county for prior expenditures, paying the principal and interest on any bond anticipation notes, and payment of cost incident to the issue and sale of bonds authorized herein. So it's really a conglomerate of everything that we're going to the bond market with the exception of that $2 million that we previously amended. Now, if we don't, as a body, approve any or part of this, then that's going to come out in October, so we'll see how it fails out then.
I'll second that amendment.
Proper motion and second. Any discussion on the amendment? You got it loaded. Ready to vote? If you're in favor of the amendment on Resolution 9-1329, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Amendment passes. Now we're back to the resolution as amended, 9-1329. Any discussion on the resolution? I see none. You ready to vote? You ready, Ashley? If you're in favor of Resolution 9-1329 as amended, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
Got them. 20 yes, 3 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 9-1331, resolution appropriating and amending the 2013-14 Sheriff's Department budget by $91,708.65 for the purchase of computer and related equipment. Revenues to come from reserve account and unappropriated county general funds. Commissioner Williams?
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Brockman, the second. Budget Committee,
4-0 yes.
explanation, Commissioner Williams.
This is where the Sheriff's Department is relying upon technology and software. They've had failures out there resulting in loss of certain files, and they need a series of backup systems, and the total comes from $91,708.65, and it's to come from the reserve account and the unappropriated general funds.
All right, any discussion? I see none. If you're in favor of Resolution 9-1331, push your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Travis? Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 9-1310, resolution accepting donation of a 1995 GMC one-ton utility truck to the Sheriff's Department and authorizing the execution of all documents to receive ownership of the vehicle. Commissioner Hancock? Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Wilson, the second. Law Enforcement Committee?
6 in favor, 0 against.
Property Committee?
Property 6-4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
This is a resolution accepting a donation of a 1995 GMC one-ton utility truck. Sheriff's Department authorizing the execution of all documents to receive ownership of the vehicle.
All right. Any questions?
In a slightly used 1995 one-ton GMC.
Just drove it to church and the liquor store. All right.
Driven downhill both ways.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of 9-1310, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 9-1318, resolution declaring certain Williamson County-owned property and equipment surplus property and authorizing the sale of the property and equipment. Commissioner Brockman?
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Williams, the second. Property Committee?
Property 6-4-0 against.
Budget Committee?
4-0 against.
Explanation, Commissioner Brockman.
Yes, this is a list that's included on the resolution of surplus items that need to be declared as such. Everything from a computer to a Crown Vic, et cetera, et cetera,
Don't forget the floppy disk drive.
and the floppy disk drive.
All right. Any questions? I see none. If you're in favor of Resolution 9, 13, 18, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
And just for the record, this sale is on September 28th at 9:30 a.m. Resolution 9/13/19, a resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to enter into an agreement of all other documentation for the purchase of used patrol vehicles and equipment from the Missouri State Highway Patrol. Funds to come from the federal equitable sharing funds. Commissioner Hancock?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Hayes, second. Law Enforcement Committee,
6 in favor, 0 against.
Budget Committee,
4 for, 0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Hancock.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is the same thing that we looked at, I think, that was with Kansas Highway Patrol, but it was actually just coming from the Missouri State Highway Patrol, and there's a legislation that will allow federal forfeitures to be sent from state to state to other jurisdictions that'll use them, my understanding. And we're getting these, I don't know if absolutely free or just almost free. I think they're probably just almost free. So,
All right.
here again, slightly used Sheriff's Patrol car.
Any discussion? I see none. If you're in favor of a slightly used patrol car, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
Okay, 23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes. Resolution 9/13/20, resolution authorizing Williamson County Mayor to enter into an agreement for purchase of real property for property located on Harpeth School Road to be used for a county purpose. Commissioner Brockman?
Move for approval.
Second.
Commissioner Williams, the second. Highway Commission, 5-4-0 against. Property Committee,
Property 640 against.
Budget Committee,
4 for, 0 against, but we need to do an amendment.
okay.
We need to, first, as a correction, typographical, where it reads 252,350. On the revenues, it shows 253, that should be 252. And the amendment should also include the revenues showing that amount and the expenditures of showing that amount.
Okay,
I'll second that amendment.
okay. Proper motion and second. Any discussion on the amendment? I see none. You have it loaded, Ashley. If you're in favor of the amendment, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
All right. The amendment passes. Back to the resolution 9/13/20 as amended. Any discussion? I see none. You ready to vote?
No, I have a
Oh,
point
I'm
to
sorry.
make.
Commissioner Brockman?
Thank you. I signed this resolution, but it happened at a time that I didn't really know all the information that was necessary, and I asked a question of our attorney, Bobby Cook. I said, isn't this the property right by I-65 that has this old house on it? He said, I don't think there's an old house on it. Well, I said, would you please investigate? And you know I'm an old house nut. So sure enough, he said it was probably built at least 100 years ago. So I think that qualifies as a historic house, may not be on the National Register. Obviously, it would be difficult for somebody given the fact that it's right under the interstate now, and it's probably just become difficult for somebody to reside there. But I went out there to take a picture of the house if anybody's interested in it. So if I would like to read into the record that the Highway Department note that this house could have some value in terms of someone wanting to remove the original structure, not the addition that came on later. Maybe someone wants to restore it. Maybe someone needs to salvage something out of it that's valuable. Instead of just seeing it just torn down, I want the Highway Department's assurance, two things: that they realize this has some historic value, and then two, because it's an old property, there's some wonderful old trees on the property that's of similar age, and I would hope that they would do what they could. They're taking this property only to get the site value for Lewisburg Pike and Harpeth School Road. I said, well, there are hundreds of roads that don't have good site value in Williamson County. Why did they pick this road? And this intersection, he just said, it's been a problem. So I said, okay, I understand. But I just want some assurance that when we do the work on realigning this road, that we're just cognizant of the fact that it has old trees and an old house. Sorry, I didn't mean to get on the soapbox, but I'm not making an amendment. I just want to read it into the record.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioner, at the Budget Committee, we made note of that.
Okay.
And in fact, we're going to go a little bit further. The Highway Department has no need for that home, for that house, and so we'll probably put it up for auction rather than just taking a crane to it and tearing it down. There may be someone that would be interested in purchasing it, or we will look at it in our needs. It's not our intent just to bulldoze it over.
Okay, and there's a sweet little outbuilding that says Sweet Beginnings inside. I'm a sucker for outbuildings too. My husband moved a smokehouse that was going to get torn down, and I said, we don't need a smokehouse, honey, but he moved it anyway.
Well, first of all, we're going to try to save what we
Okay.
can save.
All right, thank you.
Mary, that's called an outhouse.
It's not. It was for storage, for a little
Commissioner Hayes?
barn.
I was just going to say basically what the mayor said, because it did come up for discussion in the Budget Committee. I had found out that it was, the house was, the earliest sale we could find was 1926. That was a reference that they sold there. The house does look like it could be easily moved in the old part. We went out and looked like it could be moved, so that was made note, and hopefully the Highway Department will do what they need to do.
Any other discussion? I see none. You ready to vote? 9/13/20. If you're in favor of the resolution, signify by pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes as amended. Resolution 9/13/24, resolution to affirm and support It Can Wait National Day of Action and the nationwide no texting while driving movement. Commissioner Jones? Commissioner Dwight Jones, second. Law Enforcement Committee?
6 in favor, 0 against.
All right. Ricky, you want to explain this? Or?
This just goes, this is common sense, really, no texting while you're driving. I know some states are even looking into making it a law that if you know someone's driving, you can't even text them, but this is just good practice that we make sure that our youth and adults and everyone quits texting while driving.
Very good. Any other co-sponsors want to? We all in agreement? If you're in favor of not texting while driving, signify by saying, pushing your yes button and confirm. Opposed, your no button and confirm. Anyone wishing to change their vote, do so at this time. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution 9-1330, resolution authorizing the Williamson County Mayor to execute a contract with the Department of Transportation on behalf of the Williamson County Department of Information Technology. Commissioner Williams?
Move for approval.
Commissioner Wilson, the second. Budget Committee,
Budget Committee was 4-0 against.
explanation, Commissioner Williams.
Short explanation is that this allows us to tap into the Tennessee Department of Transportation's global navigation system. That's simple.
Any discussion? I see none. You ready to vote? If you're in favor of 9-1330, signify by pushing your yes button, and opposed, your no button, and confirm. Tommy? Yours didn't take. There you go. Record the vote, Ms. Anderson.
23 yes, 0 no.
Resolution passes.
Here's that little building outhouse. That little building outhouse.
Before we adjourn, I've been reminded to give you a heads up. In November, we will meet on Tuesday. Monday is Veterans Day, so we will meet on Tuesday. Put that on your calendar, because I hate for somebody to miss it. Commissioner Ford?
Mr. Chairman, real quick before we get out of here, I think everybody got an invitation, but Saturday night at Summit High School, Mary's a sucker for old houses, I'm a sucker for high school bands. You'll get to see all of the high school bands in Williamson County for one low price. Saturday night at Summit High School, come out and support the kids.
Very good. Thank you. Any other discussion? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.